All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. I want you to adopt the persona of a financial controller for a moment. You're at the absolute helm of your company's finances, and your primary objective today? To completely audit-proof your value-added tax, or VAT, processes. We're going to take your Dynamics 365 Business Central system and basically transform it into an impenetrable fortress of compliance, so you quite literally never have to sweat a tax deadline again.
So we need to establish the high stakes right out of the gate here. An inaccuracy during a tax authority audit? Yeah, that is simply not an option. I mean, just think about the total nightmare of having to unravel mixed up cross-border EU sales during an active audit, all because a few dates slipped. Whether you're dealing with standard domestic transactions or really complex international sales, if your data isn't locked down and perfectly validated, you are exposing your organization to severe compliance risks, massive headaches, and potentially some really hefty financial penalties. We need to secure your system from the ground up to make absolutely sure that never happens.
Here is our exact roadmap to get you from a state of potential audit anxiety to total compliance mastery. First, we're securing your VAT periods. Second, enabling electronic tax connections. Third, preparing accurate VAT returns. Fourth, releasing and submitting reports. And finally, troubleshooting failed submissions. Let's get started.
Okay, moving right into Section 1, securing your VAT periods. This is all about locking down your system against any rogue entries.
Now, you might be wondering, what's the deal with the dates? Well, there's a really crucial distinction you've got to make between the general posting date and the specific VAT date used for reporting. Historically, you might have just relied on the posting date for everything in your ledger. But Business Central smartly separates these two out. The VAT date ensures that even if an invoice is posted to the general ledger today, it can be precisely allocated to the exact tax period required by the authorities. So all your VAT-related reports now run using this specific VAT date to filter the relevant records. It keeps your tax reporting perfectly isolated from day-to-day ledger timing differences. Pretty smart, right?
So to truly audit-proof your system, you absolutely cannot allow anyone to backdate a VAT entry into a period you've already reconciled and closed. That's a huge red flag. To build this invisible wall, you simply navigate over to your general ledger setup and set the Control VAT Period field to Block Posting Within Closed Period. By doing this, you instantly prevent anyone from posting a document or changing entries if the VAT date falls within a closed VAT return period. No accidental keystrokes, no late Friday afternoon mistakes are going to ruin the numbers you've already submitted. All right, Section 2, enabling electronic tax connections. We're laying down a secure pipeline directly to the tax authorities. A massive part of modern compliance is defining a GovTalk connection, or, whatever equivalent web service connection your specific region happens to use. This connection, it's a real game changer. It takes error-prone manual reporting and transforms it into direct, secure, and automated electronic data flows. For instance, in the UK, this allows you to completely comply with Making Tax Digital by securely transmitting your data right from Business Central directly to the government servers. It's a huge win, literally saving you days of manual reconciliation and data entry.
Setting this whole shebang up requires inputting your specific tax authority credentials right into the Service Connections page. But the absolute most crucial step here is utilizing test mode. Honestly, test mode is a financial controller's best friend. It lets you safely verify that the tax authority's web service can actually receive and read your report without you accidentally making a legally binding submission. Once that test run succeeds and you get the all clear, you just uncheck that box and boom, you are ready for the real deal. Moving on to Section 3, preparing accurate VAT returns. This is where we extract the precise data for your core operation. I like to think of a VAT return as having a very specific 4-step life cycle. As a controller, you basically live by these statuses. It starts out open, when you're just gathering and reviewing data. Then it moves to released, when you lock it down for internal validation. It progresses to submitted, when it's officially out of your hands and securely traveling over to the government. And finally, the best part, it reaches accepted, when the tax authority processes the file and gives you the ultimate green light. To prepare the report and really kick off that life cycle, you're going to rely heavily on the magical Suggest Lines action. Seriously, instead of manually reconciling spreadsheets or spending hours hunting down specific line items, Suggest Lines just commands Business Central to fetch all the raw data directly from the VAT entries table. It uses your specific setup, like your VAT business and product posting groups, and automatically calculates and suggests the exact lines for your report. It literally does the heavy lifting for you, instantly gathering your open or closed VAT entries for that specific period so you can just review them with total confidence. Section 4. Releasing and submitting reports. We have arrived at the critical validation checkpoint. If there is an absolute golden rule for safeguarding your company's financial integrity, it's this: never submit without validating. Think about it. You wouldn't send out a major multi-million-dollar contract without proofreading it multiple times, right? And you certainly don't transmit highly sensitive tax data without having the system ruthlessly check it for compliance errors first.
The release action is incredibly vital here, because it forces Business Central to validate that your report setup is perfectly correct before you even have the option to hit submit. Only when the status changes to released, which means it successfully passed every single internal validation check, can you confidently choose the submit action to send that electronic file over your secure pipeline. From there on out, your main job is simply to monitor the status field to see exactly how the authorities are processing the data.
Finally, Section 5, Troubleshooting Failed Submissions. Let's run through the fire drill.
Look, no system is perfect. When things do go sideways, you need exact defensive maneuvers based on your report status. If it says released, but you realize, oh wait, I need to make a sudden change, well, you actually can't edit the lines directly. You must reopen the report first to unlock it. Now, if the tax authority web service kicks the report back entirely, say because of bad authentication or a server error, the status becomes rejected, and you actually can't reopen it at all. You just have to start the process over. But if you see accepted, congratulations. You can proceed to run the Calculate and Post VAT Settlement action. This officially transfers those calculated amounts right to your VAT settlement account and cleanly zeroes out those open entries. As we know, audits demand perfection. So if your internal validation status ever hits failed, you're going to use this really cool continuous loop to trap and eliminate errors. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a built-in detective. When a validation fails, Business Central automatically populates the Errors and Warnings Fast tab. You just open that tab and you can read exactly what setting is missing or what specific piece of data is malformed. And what's brilliant is that it will very often link you directly to the exact page you need to fix. You just click, correct the underlying data, reopen the report, rerun the release validation, and then finally confidently resubmit to the tax authority. 0, that is exactly the number of compliance worries you're going to have once your VAT entries are securely locked down and electronically validated. By simply controlling your VAT dates to block rogue postings, utilizing those automated service connections, relying on the Suggest Lines feature for calculation accuracy, and strictly adhering to the release and validate process, you completely eliminate the guesswork from your workflow. So, now that you've built this completely impenetrable fortress of compliance, how are you going to leverage this total peace of mind? By mastering these tools within Business Central, you've taken what used to be a stressful, error-prone regulatory requirement and transformed it into a smooth, highly automated workflow. Just think about the strategic financial planning and deep analytical work you can accomplish now that you aren't spending your days chasing down manual VAT errors or dreading audit notices. I'll leave you to ponder that. Keep learning, keep optimizing, and take command of your systems.